Good day, students. You are welcome to Social Studies class. Our topic for today is methods of teaching social studies. Social studies help students through different methods. We have 11 different methods of teaching social studies. And for you not to cram these 11 methods, I have devised a code for simplicity. But one thing you should note that the code is only meaningful to the user. It's just like a password on your phone. So I give the code as EPI learning, DOD excursion, SUQ, E for inquiry or investigation method, P for presentation method, I for interview method, learning, that is learning through concept, D for discussion method, O for observation method, D for dramatization method, S for simulation method, U for use of resource person, and lastly Q for questioning method. Do not forget EPI learning, DOD excursion, SUQ. So I'm going to start with that letter E, inquiry method. When we say inquiry method, it is also known as investigation method. It helps students to gather information on their own about certain issues. Students can gather information. It can be about traditional marriage in Yoruba land. 2, presentation method. Take a look at your screen. You see a teacher presenting to the student. You can see presentation method is a method of teaching in which communication is in one way. It's the only method that can be used to complement other teaching methods. Examples of techniques used under presentation method: we have storytelling, use of resource person, demonstration, audiovisual, and lecture, which I termed as SUDA. S for storytelling. A teacher can catch the attention of the listener by telling a story. For example, once upon a time. Then we have U, use of resource person. It involves the use of expert in the field. For example, when we are talking about any health-related issues, a medical personnel may be invited to the school to give a talk on that. Then we have demonstration. Teacher can also demonstrate by making use of an action. Then we have audiovisual. That one appeals to the sense of listening and hearing. For example, your television. Then we have lecture. That one is practiced at higher level. Then we have advantages and disadvantages of this presentation method. We are going to look at the advantages of presentation method. Now, when you take a look at that screen, at that photograph on your screen, you see a teacher presenting to the student. Then through that, you can see that it helps in summarizing notes for the student. Then with that, a lot of content can be covered within a limited period of times. Then it helps students, it helps teachers to maximize time. Then let us look at the disadvantages of presentation method. Teachers who are not skillful in these techniques often make it boring. You see, the student will say the class is boring. Then another disadvantage is that learning cannot be easily maximized, since students are not given opportunity to demonstrate what they have learned. Do not forget EPI learning. Now we are now in I, that is interview. You interview students in order to get results. This is a method that is carried out through interview. You can obtain useful information from the student through interview. Then learning now, learning through concepts. Students can also learn through certain concepts in social studies, such as marriage, religion, etc. D, that is discussion method. Students can be guided by their teacher and discuss on items. It can be on the societal issues, it can be on the nation Nigeria, or etc. Then we have observation method, that is O, observation method. Students can be encouraged to observe what is in their locality. They can observe traditional marriage, it can be wedding, etc. Then we have dramatization method. This method, it involves singing, crying, and learning other similar activities. Now I'm going to dramatize now with the use of, it's one of the concepts of learning in social studies. For example, a teacher of geography who want to impart the geopolitical zones to students. For example, in Nigeria we have 6 geopolitical zones, so I'm going to take the one of that southwest. So I can just use a code for that, maybe a low E, that is Ekiti, L, Lagos, O, Ogun, O, Osun, O, Oyo, O, Ondo, and it can also come in form of singing. State in southwest, state in southwest, Ekiti, Lagos, Ogun, Osun, Oyo, Ondo, they are in the southwest. And do not forget that dramatization method also involves similar activities. It can also come like in form of this. For example, the administrative head of College of Education is provost. You can create a formula for that, that is CP, that is like cost price in mathematics, college, provost. The administrative head of secondary school is principal. It's just like saying selling price, SP. The administrative head of polytechnic is rector. It's just like saying principal times rate. Then we have university, that is vice chancellor. It's just like saying your universal set. So dramatization methods come in different forms. Then we have S, simulation method. When we say simulation method, it has to reflect on real life societal problems. And you know the societal problems around you. We have societal problems like corruption, we have poverty, etc. Then we have use of resource person. When we say use of resource person, an expert, it involves the use of an expert. For example, a medical personnel may be brought to school to talk on any health-related issues. And there is one, excursion method. When we say excursion method, that is a learning that takes place outside the classroom, whereby students go to places of educational interest. For example, in study of our physical environment, students can go to places like Olumo Rock, Ikogosi One Spring, Erinjesha Waterfall, etc., etc. Then lastly, we have questioning method. Questioning method is also known as Socratic method, whereby teacher asks questions in order to obtain useful information from the student. Now in the course of this lesson, do not forget we have 11 methods of teaching social studies, which I give the code as EPI learning, DOD excursion, SUQ, E for inquiry, P for presentation, I for interview, D for discussion, O for observation, D for dramatization, E, that is excursion method, S, simulation method, U, use of resource person, Q, questioning method. Now, out of all these methods, the only one that is used to complement other teaching method is presentation method, because communication is always in one way. And there's also another method that gives a student a first-hand information, that is excursion method, because students go to places of educational interest to see the materials that are involved. For example, a student that wants to know much about rock can easily go to places like Olumo Rock to see the materials. So I believe you have gained one thing or the other in the course of this lesson. Thank you.